Hey everyone, welcome to Bitrate, the podcast where we talk all things gaming, the world of small streaming, and introduce you to some of the best Twitch channels you've never heard of. I'm your host, Chris, and with me today are Jeremy and Joey. Guys, say hi.
Hey.
All right. We've got a great show for you today. Today, since it's our very first podcast, very first episode, we are talking about some of the games that we have re-fallen in love with, rediscovered, that we think you will too. Guys, first on the list, Overwatch, right? Near and dear to our hearts. We met in this game, playing this game like 6.5 years ago. What do we want to say about it? Jared, why don't you take it away?
Okay, well, so Overwatch, in case you guys haven't played it or haven't seen it or watched it or anything like that, it's a 6v6 team-based objective game where you take points or push carts, and it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of characters that you want to choose from that have counters, and the competitive aspect of it is very, very high. Like Chris said, we had all met on this game through Xbox and migrated to the PC platform and have played from there. Joe?
Yeah. I mean, it's a game we fell in love with. These guys have always liked comp a little more than me, but it's a good, solid game. I play support main, so these guys can do whatever they want, and we can still stand a chance of winning.
So I think one of the things that I really like fell in love about the game, or I don't know if I said that correctly, but coming back to that game after taking like a lot of time off, and by a lot of time I mean like over a year basically, right, where I haven't touched it, that game still feels good. Like Blizzard really did a great job in coding of that game and making it feel just great for a shooter, right? I mean, you feel the impact, land. You never feel like you're like the game is beating you. Like you always feel like you're like it just feels good, to be, as a shooter, I guess.
Yeah,
that's my biggest thing. So you guys know, like I've been streaming it a lot. I've been like delving back into comp. Kat and I recently. So I guess for those of you that don't know, they've got a competitive portion to the game, right? So you can go and you can jump into just a quick play lobby and play with just random people, or you can join the competitive queue and try to rank up, see how high you can get, and it's basically supposed to match make you with people of like equal skill level. Anyway, so
supposed to,
right?
It's never been a perfect system. Never will be.
So a few weeks back, I qualified in the competitive portion, right? And I qualified at the gold level, which is basically like middle tier. I solo queued for about a week. That meaning I just played by myself, and I lost a ton of rank. And then Kat and I started duo queuing, got back up to where I had originally qualled, and then this season, about the same, got up to platinum level, which is a tier higher. Fell a little bit, but you know what, man? Like the game has been feeling a lot better than I think it used to be. I don't know. Those are just my thoughts.
Yeah, so watching those games, so I actually qualified in the bronze tier unjustly, by the way.
Of course.
I did take some time off, and even people that have sat in my stream and watched me play tank, they're like, dude, you're not a bronze tank. Like, what the hell happened? And I really don't know on how that whole system works. I went on about an hour-long rant in Chris's stream one night because I was just so beside myself on the whole ranking system and why even do qualified matches if they're just going to put you back. And anyway, but I digress. But having played the bronze and the silver matches and some of the gold matches, and then watching you play high-level gold and low-level platinum, the game is 100% different, and I can see how much more enjoyable it is at those levels, especially when you when you personally feel that you belong in that area. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel like I belong in the bronze silver grouping. I
Right.
believe I belong in the gold. The game feels differently. That's fine.
Oh yeah.
But I could see where the enjoyability of the game actually goes much higher when you are where you believe you belong.
Well,
Joe.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's the same. It's always been the same story, and I don't know if I agree that your previous stats should be trashed after the end of the season. But I as someone who's like, I've only played 5 or 6 seasons, and most of those were actually just doing the qualifying matches. And I used to place in gold, then I started placing in silver, and I place in bronze as support. And I always play support when it's qualifying, so that shows over time the way it's changed, and I'm just not sure I like that I originally as a support, even in the beginning, support players kind of got shafted when it comes to qualifying, but I was cool with that. But now it's like, it started me in bronze, it was like 11-20 or something like that. I can't remember the exact number. um, but I was a little annoyed, but I also don't care way too much about what a video game thinks of my playing.
Yeah.
So
I think we've had this discussion at length, but for me, like I could care less about the number that the rank is or the color that's associated with the rank. My thing has always been like I want to play good Overwatch, right? And that is good team strategy, good oh, I don't know. Like I don't even know how to explain it, but where everybody dies together, where everybody comes back and fights as a team together, where you're not struggling to get people to move to the point or, counter the opposite team, where there's just like a better unified team structure, I guess, and
so
that's
you want the ideal game every game.
every game, and look, I mean, I know that you're going to get rolled at some, but when you're playing in like the bronze and silver,
You get smoked or you smoke. That's
well, yeah, the
No, it's
matchmaking.
quagmire, dude.
Yeah,
It sucks.
definitely the matchmaking has, I think, some room for improvement down there, but also too, I feel like the the skill level of the player is more, I guess, is a lot broader than it is in some of the upper tiers. I think what happens is like you start getting into like plat and diamond, and maybe that skill level shrinks a little bit, or there's not a huge
the
delta
gap. The
between.
gap.
Yeah.
Yeah, shrinks.
So
Well, that's yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say that's why like I feel like when you're jumping into quick play and you're trying to win, or you're jumping into like a silver match or even a gold match, a lot of times the delta between the player base in that category is just so wide that you're having to do things that you wouldn't normally do. Like you're trying to make plays. I honestly, like, I think playing at those levels actually makes you a worse player in some respects.
At the lower
That
yeah.
I mean, that depends on who you are. If you let it get to you and blah blah blah, you going in, anybody going into competitive anything should know that when you first start, there is this swamp of people who either don't care, they all think they're doing the right thing, no one's in comms, you know what I mean? No one's working together. People are going for kills, they aren't going for teamwork. Um, and you see that less and less as you rise through the tiers. So it's a shitty, excuse my language, swamp that you basically gotta crawl through to get to gold, plat, diamond, and it's only within like platinum and diamond and up that people are always using comms. They're always in the game to win. They aren't out to get gold kills themselves. They don't care about that. They just want the dub. And that's basically that for me is the simple and quick answer to what is Overwatch competitive. It's like you got to start at the bottom and work your way up, but it takes a long time and it's not easy to deal with the lower level players or the players who are only in it for themselves.
Well, that's why I think that they need to take a team play metric into account and to establish the MMR, and also to determine how much you gain or lose each game, right? So say you have a good game and you're playing a good team game, and then this might be a really hard metric to establish, you know what I mean? But at the same time, like if you lose, even in a good match, and you're playing the team style game, like whatever that metric ends up being, you shouldn't lose 30 SR, right? You should lose like maybe 15 or 10 or something like that. Like
So
instead of losing, kind of, it's oh, I lost, but you know what? Like I played a good game. I didn't lose a ton. Like have it scale comparatively.
so
You
what
know,
you're
like
what you're looking for is like an individualized metric then, not just based on a team win or loss, but like how you actually did.
well, no, like
I
if
think that's how the metric is already.
that's how the
People,
metric is already, yeah.
yeah, people who do really well if DPS is, and that's what I mean. If DPS is going for gold kills, they're going balls out, but they aren't sticking with their team, they might get less of a ding to their score than everybody who's trying to work together and to actually win the match. You know what I mean? So
Is that how that works?
that's what I mean. That's one of the problems with the lower levels is a lot of the time DPS just want to go buck wild. Same with tanks sometimes, even support. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of what needs to change about it. And what I heard, Jer, was like you're saying a team-based metric, like how well your team did, how much you added to that, either poorly
Your
or
value to the team, yeah, like
And
you know, and combined with your individual stats, like, and they're gonna have to weigh those. And I think that because it is a team-based game, the team-based matrix, whatever they decide that be weighted the heaviest,
Yeah.
heaviest.
heaviliest.
Heaviliest.
You're
Got it.
absolutely right.
That's
Got it right.
canon now, boys.
Yeah,
Heaviliest.
Well, and I think that's it's one of those things that we gamers like to do where it's like this is what we want and we want it now, and they're like we're still fucking figuring out how to do this. You know what I mean? Like it's new territory. It's not like this has been happening for 50 years and they're like, oh, we got this on lock. It's like every single time they redo the system, they're redoing it to their best new understanding about how it should work. So you can't complain too much. You know what I mean? They could just be like, hey, screw it. We're not doing competitive anymore. Have fun and quick play Mystery Heroes.
well,
You know
that's
what
why
I
they give you the extra
Yeah.
the extra game modes. You know, like
Yeah.
I had a shitty day, I had a shitty 2 matches in comp, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I still want to play, but maybe comp isn't for me today. So I went and played Mystery Heroes for a little while. So, but that's my take on Overwatch.
So let's okay. Besides the ramp on the competitive aspect of it, like what was it that drew you back in?
Well, it's always been like a good party game for me. Like I like, hanging out with the boys or the girls or the group that especially that we have established, and throw a few back and just have fun. Like I think the game is fun. I love playing the game with my friends, and solo not so much, but like I've had an opportunity to meet a lot of really cool people in that game and become really good friends with them. So I mean, I can't knock the social aspect of the game, even though there is a level of toxicity. I do believe it's on the down climb though. But
So
yeah,
so let's do this. Let's give it a ranking, because I mean this game has been out for years now, right? I mean, what are we coming up on? 4 years?
yeah, by a 4-year anniversary this coming week. Yeah,
Yeah. So, okay.
17th,
So
17th of May.
So for
2006.
4 years,
today.
Is it? Is
Yeah,
it?
today
Oh, wow.
is the 17th.
Well, here we
It
go.
is.
Happy
So-
4 years.
Oh, by the way, anniversary celebration in game starts May 19th and goes until June 9th.
Yeah, new
Lot of cool
skins,
skins.
more loot boxes. So, I mean, replayability, guys. I mean, is this? I mean, I know for me, like this is my comeback, right? So I can stray away from other games, but I keep coming back to this one.
Hmm.
I'll always come back to this game, and not because of the nostalgic reason, with the gaming group that I've migrated to PC with, but it's always the game
It's
that
just a good game.
I could just pop in and like if I want to play quick play or mystery heroes or whatever, like I can always get my fix and then kind of move on from there. It's always going to be my base.
So
Yeah,
what
well,
do we
it's like
think?
that.
10 out of 10,
It's
Joe?
for me. If I can give a quick preamble to it,
Yeah.
not only was it where we met, and so there is that nostalgia factor, but it's been consistently a good game for 4 years. I like just getting back into it and playing solo. Solo is actually where I do my best, get my most wins, because the algorithm, where the more team players you have, the more team, or team grouped up the other team is, and sometimes it can turn out not in your favor. So I still love playing it solo too, but yeah, I would say it's definitely one of my top 5 favorite games of all time. I'd say 9 out of 10
Okay.
for me.
Jer, rating?
Probably like 8.5 out of 10. I
All
mean,
right.
it's up there in my favorite games of all time, but replayability is definitely a 10/10. But like, there are things that need to be changed with the game as a whole. So
Yeah.
that being said,
No, I gotcha. You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Like, I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10 because I think this is one of the only games that I can say that I always come back to
Yeah,
over
I
4
agree.
years.
I would agree with you.
Even like Call of Duties and stuff like that. Like, I play those for about a year and then they're done until
well, it's because there's
the
a new
next
one
thing.
in a year.
I
Yeah,
know.
well, that's
I
true.
mean, and that's
very true.
ridiculous, dude. It's like, honestly, if they release less Call of Duty games, they would make better Call of Duty games.
Probably.
Um,
It's probably true.
they're fun. They're fun, but yeah, they basically have a 1 year shelf life, and I think that's how they're made to work. So it's like, okay, this is kind of getting old. Hey, a couple days new COD comes out. You know what I mean? It's like no biggie.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Well,
not saying that COD isn't fun, but the Overwatch is a special case. I feel like it's a game. It's a game that's brought a lot of people together.
well, yeah. I mean, there's something special with it. I think, right?
Yeah.
Well, and I think that the reason why to go on this a little bit is that Jeff Kaplan in a recent interview said, the reason why Overwatch has such a good player base is that people begin to identify with the characters that they play most, right? Like you've heard Kat say, I like playing Mercy because I kind of identify with that character without even leading her into it.
I like to play too. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
So,
it becomes like that old comfy pair of sweatpants that you just free ball in. Like you feel comfortable with like in and out. Like I could play almost with my Mercy with my eyes closed. You know what I mean? As long as I could directionally hear where you are, I could just shift right over to you and heal you or damage boost you. Like it's so second nature now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
and I've recently fallen in love with Sigma personally. I hated him in the beginning, but
He
dude,
does a
he's
ton
so
of damage,
powerful.
right?
He's
He's
pretty
so
fun.
much fun. Yeah,
You do a good job with him too.
thanks.
All right.
So,
All
all
right.
right, what do we got next, Bob?
Should we shift gears?
Yeah.
Dude, you know what? Let's talk about Green Hell.
Ooh, the greenest of hells.
The greenest of hells.
The greenest of
I
hells.
haven't played it in a couple weeks, but I mean,
So, yeah, so Green Hell is a game where it's a survival game first and foremost. It does have a story mode. I personally like playing the survival mode, but you get dropped in the middle of the Amazonian rainforest with literally a backpack and your hands. And you are tasked with surviving in this rainforest amongst leopards.
a green hell, you might call it.
A greenish hell, right? Leopards, parasites, fucking fire ants. Sorry. That's how I feel about it. When you play the game, you're like, ah, and the most aggressive of rattlesnakes. Like that sound will, yeah. I hate that.
Look up what snake that is though down there.
So I'm gonna add, right. So it's a survival game, but there's a lot to it. So you do jump in, but it gives you a smartwatch, and on this smartwatch, it tracks your protein intake, your water intake, what are the other two, Jared?
Fats and hydration.
Carbs.
Carbs, yeah.
Fats and carbs.
Yeah.
So you've got these 4 pillars of basic survival, right? That you've got to get through. So you're having to hunt and fish and all that stuff, but you've got all of these things out in nature that can kill you super quick, right? So
real fast.
you drink from a water source, you just straight drink from the water source, and it might hydrate you, but it also gives you like worms, right? Like right off the bat.
Parasites. Yeah. Yeah.
So
But don't worry, the orange mushroom saves
yeah,
all.
eat the orange mushrooms, right? But I mean, like literally, like I think we played it for like
A week and a half, hard.
yeah, the first 20 hours, I died like 8 times
Mm-hmm.
on like normal, right? So not the easiest setting where you can't die at all, but just one step up before we like figured it out.
And I was lucky enough to roll in to the game after you guys had played it for 10 hours, so I didn't experience that first, frustration. I was like, how do you build next? Well, dude, you need like this and this and this. I was like, sweet, I already know how to do this.
So, I mean, this game is, we played the Forest a few years back, and the Forest was kind of cool. It became like we kind of turned it into like a tower defense sort of game where we just built up a huge ass fortress and then just let the zombies come or whatever they were. Why don't you talk about this one? Talk about like the open worldness, the map, what the actual point of to the game is.
So there is actually a story mode that I have yet to play. So that's a different aspect to the game that I have played. So when we all jumped in, you like Chris had said, you have a watch and it tells the time. It gives your nutrition levels. It also has a lat long component, and you don't realize this until you find a map and you're like, oh shit, that's where I am. And we didn't figure that out until hour 15. I had luckily enough, I had somebody in my stream that was kind of like guiding us a little bit. And by the way, if you want a supreme Twitch entertainment value, go onto the Green Hell page and find somebody that has a tagline, first time playthrough, and you will see the triggered of the triggered. Because people don't understand, and there's no like quick guide or how to or whatever. You learn it on the go. And
yeah, as you pick things up, you learn what to use for. Or you got to just like really like if you were out there starving, and it's like, well, I have a choice. I can either eat this mushroom or I can starve to death. Those are the kind of things. And although there are ways in real life to tell if something is toxic before eating it in game, there's like no point. So you try things and it's like, oh, this is poisonous, or you know what I mean, like dirty water gives you dysentery, like, you know what I mean. And it's it's probably the most realistic survival experience I've played. And I also just want to make a note that it calls back on the classic horror movies, like the first one, the Cannibal Holocaust, that was set in the Amazonian jungle, and basically these people were captured by these Amazonian tribes that hadn't, been touched by humanity really outside of themselves, and they eat the people. And then later on, Eli Roth made the Green Inferno, it's actually called. And so as soon as I saw the game, I was like, Green Hell. I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna like this. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's a good game. Good game.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And as far as the tower defense mode, like the local tribesmen, like they're Aborigines or whatever you want to call them, once they find you, they don't stop coming.
Oh, so that what that's that brings up a topic like one of the coolest things I think in the game is it kind of has a psychological component too, right? So we figured this out.
Right. Sanity,
so we all three of us, we found a nice place to set up camp, and then all of a sudden these tribesmen started coming in droves, right? And we got to the point where like I was making bows and arrows. I had a full arsenal on me at the time, and I started just taking these guys out, right, like one by one. And I didn't realize it, but each time you killed another person in this game, you lose a little bit of your sanity. And it gets to the point where you start hearing things, seeing things that aren't there. So there's a psychological point to it where it's like these guys are going to keep coming. You can't just keep killing them because
No.
it's screwing with you the entire time.
There is a level of evade, and you definitely want to pick your battles in this one. But
I was wondering what you meant by tower defense when you originally said it. I get what you're saying. So
Yeah.
just your base defense,
Well, I think
making sure. Yeah.
before, I described the forest as, I mean, because that's what we did basically. That was our fun in the forest.
Our Swiss Family Robinson house.
Yeah, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
It was like Lord
Do
of
you
the
remember all
Flies
the
meets.
bridges and the trees?
Yeah,
It's like a bunch of Ewoks.
yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
So, but Green Hell to me, man, like when we jumped into it for the first time, I was like, wow, it's a supremely beautiful game, right? I mean, there's tons of foliage, tons of wildlife, and yeah, I mean, if you are the type of person that likes to really just explore and get down to the nitty gritty and like manage your character's nutrition and crafting stuff and all that stuff, this is a fantastic game, right?
Yeah, yeah,
100%.
I do. And its playability for me is a 10/10. I will come back to that one again and continually do it, even if I've got a couple hours. I haven't. By the way, I did find a new spot on my solo game that I think everybody would enjoy.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
I actually did. Sorry.
it's perfect. It's centrally located to everything,
Nice.
and in a cave, mind you.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, that's what you would naturally be looking for, unless you built yourself a little shelter. But that, you know,
yep.
yeah. For a rating for this game, a 10 out of 10 is like you give me the best work of art, and highest I'm going usually is 9.5. A 10 out of a 10 for me is almost unbelievable. Like it exists. So I would say the game, it's top 3 of my favorite survival games. I don't know exactly where. Either 2 or 3.
Okay.
The realism is great. It's beautiful. I like the animals. I like the flora and the fauna. I'd give it probably an 8.5 out of 10 for survival games. It's a super solid survival game. One
I
of
can
the
buy that.
hardest but best experiences that you can get for a game like that.
All right, Jer.
Well, 10 out of 10 for replayability. It does have some glitch issues with certain people being able to see enemies and the other ones not, even when your sanity is up. So I guess that's a sync issue. But I would go with Joe with the 8.5 right there. They're if they continually add content or ways to play the game, it's gonna go for a while.
And
Okay.
I have a feeling they will. I think they're going to give it, the forest treatment, the Subnautica treatment, where they constantly do put time into it.
Yeah. And you guys know me. I'm not a huge like survival game fan. I'm more of a shooter myself. But I think just because there are some things in the game that are not user intuitive, that you really have to either go down a rabbit hole figuring it out or look it up so that you can, use it in game. I would say for me, it's probably a 7 out of 10.
I did have to peek the wiki page, yeah.
But still one of the better survival games that I think I've played. So.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, you mentioned it earlier, Joe. Let's talk some Subnautica.
Okay. I don't know if either of you have played it.
Not
Personally, yeah, it's I started to realize that it's my favorite survival game. And I have a bias because I love the ocean. So not having played it until about 2 weeks ago, I've binged it. I've almost beat the first game. I'm about to start Sub-Zero. I can't really give is it Subnautica Below Zero or something like that?
I think it's Below Zero. Yeah.
So I can't really say anything to that game, but Subnautica, I love it, dude. It's so cool. Build underwater bases. You can even build them above water, whatever you want. You upgrade your stuff so you can go deeper. That's really the point, is to explore, go deeper. find out what happened to other people. I'm not going to spoil anything, but other people on the planet. And basically, you learn what you have to do to finish the game, which is it wasn't apparent right at the beginning. It didn't seem like it was possible, but the more you explore, the more you find. You will figure out how to beat the game. You can't give up on it. You got to keep going deeper and exploring.
You know, I think one of my favorite things about Subnautica, and it's been a while since I played it, right? But at
Mhm.
least with Subnautica, you kind of got if in correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but the tooltips in the game, like showing you where to do things, how to do things, are pretty on point, right?
Yeah.
So like the
Mhm.
crafting system in that game felt a lot more intuitive than even in Green Hell, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. I wish there was a couple changes to the crafting system. There's a really good mod on Nexus mod called Easy Craft or something like that. I don't have it installed. I'm just playing vanilla. But what it does is it takes, you need subcomponents or like basic materials to make other components to build what you're trying to build. And what it does is if you have, like other survival games, if you have the items in a chest near you or on your person or somewhere in your inventory, it'll take whatever mats you need to build the component that you're trying to build, and it takes them and it automatically does it. In Subnautica, you have to build all those. You have to take like raw materials, turn them into basic materials, and then use them to build components. So,
Right.
but it is very clear on how to do so. It just takes a little bit more work. But I enjoy that too, and you have to go out, swim, scan new objects, learn how to, like I said, bolster yourself to be able to go deeper and find meaning in the game.
Just keep swimming, bro.
Yep.
Just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming. I can't really speak to Subnautica. I haven't played it in a quick minute. Like, and I even then when I played it for maybe 25 hours, and I didn't think it was a bad game. I think something else took my attention away.
Well, I was gonna
I
say,
would love to run you two through it if you ever wanted to play.
Is there a multiplayer component to it?
I believe there is.
yeah, I think
Maybe.
so. I think when we played it, Jer, like, because didn't we play it when it was like in early access? Like,
I
I
think
thought
so.
you did.
yeah,
It was,
I
it was
thought
a
you did.
long time ago. And
Because-
And
like,
now it's full release, and Below Zero is early access, so it's been a while.
I want to say
I'd be willing to give it a shot.
played that, like we also like right after that we got into Astroneer. Like it was about the same time, wasn't it?
Which I still love that game, by the way.
I think it was, and that's another game that I have to reinstall.
Yeah.
I want to try it now that you brought it up earlier, Jaron. I can't remember who you said was playing it, but I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try it.
Knacker's the most OCD guy. Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
Man, you know what
Does it
though?
still? I'm interested in this. Does it still give you motion sickness when you play it? Have you tried it? Have you looked at it?
I just aim it down. So, I mean, do we want to talk about Astro real quick? I guess.
go
So
ahead.
I suffer from like a little bit of vertigo sometimes with ambient movement, basically. So if I'm focused on something and if something else is moving, like for some reason my brain picks up that track, and it drives me absolutely insane. So when we were first playing that game, I had my aim set at the horizon, but I could see the stars move, and at the time they were moving relatively quickly for my taking, and I just felt like I was just spinning.
Yeah, because we were just on a little planet.
Yeah, and then we went to a smaller moon, and that one spun even faster.
Yeah.
I can't do this, man. And I was tweeting the devs. I was
And
like,
I know-
please, just like, can you please like change the motion or like have an option for me to slow down that rotation or something? Because I love the game, but it
Yeah.
was literally making me ill.
I remember.
Yeah, I remember that. Like you were pissed, because it's like I want to play this game, but I can't.
Do you
Yeah.
remember? Do you remember playing that with us and John in like
John,
in just
yeah.
like breaking the game and just floating out in the middle of nowhere? Do you guys remember that?
We tried to break that game on a consistent basis. Even when every single time we started a new map or a new multiplayer thing, like, okay, how can we break it this time? And I remember this one particular map where John's like, I'm going to the center of the earth.
That's
Yeah,
the one I'm
and
talking
we gotta
about.
remember this was way back in early access. Like I don't know if they
Yeah.
released version 1.0, but this was like
Yeah.
it was a newer release.
So he
Early
literally drilled all
access.
the way through the planet, and
Yeah.
and then one game he made like this big like igloo kind of base because
Yeah.
like the game at the time had these huge windstorms, and like if you were caught in it, like you take a freaking like component to your brain and done like that. You're like, oh man, I didn't save, and you're like, oh shit, I guess I got to start over. So, but
So
yeah,
you know, we should probably just mention like what Astroneer is. So Astroneer is it's I mean it's an exploration slash crafting
terraforming,
set in
It's
space.
yeah.
yeah, it's a survival game. It fits into the category of survival and crafting games. It's a planet hopping, you know.
And this one was prior to what's the other one that's the space one with procedurally generated planets.
Oh,
No Man's
No
Sky.
Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky. So this is guys. This is prior to No Man's Sky, right? It was cool. It was
Yeah,
cool when we played it.
yeah.
It was just really buggy in early access,
Yeah.
and I think that's why we kind of like stopped, right? That's
Yeah,
probably when
I
we.
think-
I stopped because Jer wasn't really playing it. No one else was really playing it if Jer wasn't playing it, and we all just, you know, the other games come up.
It happens.
It happens.
better.
Speaking of other games, right? Let's talk American Trucker, Jer.
So I was cruising through a site that I like to frequent just to see what games are not being played
He's
or
talking about
being
Steam,
played.
folks.
Well, no, I'm not talking about Steam. I'm on Twitch Strike. I was kind of going through Twitch Strike now, and for you streamers out there that are listening, Twitch Strike is a website that you can search games that have a higher viewer count but low streamer count. So if you're like searching for views and trying to make that affiliate or whatever, I mean, it's a resource. I'm not going to say it's perfect again, but like anyway. So I was scrolling through. I was like, oh, American Truck Simulator. I've heard of Euro Truck Simulator. Let me check this out. So I did, and I bought the game, downloaded it. Everybody made fun of me. Like, oh, okay. So it's basically a truck tycoon where you drive a truck and you have a trucking company. And right now, it's only released through the western part of the their maps are only western United States, so California, Oregon, Washington, Arizona, Nevada, Utah, Idaho, Colorado, and I think I didn't say New Mexico, but New Mexico also. So as you can see, they're starting to creep across the United States as far as their maps. There is a multiplayer element that I have yet to play, but it seems like a lot of fun where you and your buddies can get on multiplayer and have your own trucking company. And there's leaderboards based on miles driven. It's pretty crazy, but
That sounds like fun.
yeah, it is a lot of fun. And like the servers are like no traffic, no cops, because you can get pulled over or you get tagged for going through red lights, you get tagged for speeding, and you get tagged for hitting somebody, and every single time you do, you get a fine that goes higher and higher and higher. Well, there was a couple times when I was playing this game on stream, and like I would stop at a red light, you know, California rolling stop. I'm in Southern California, Joe's in Northern California, and yeah, and Chris is in Central California. We all drive the same. For the people that don't live in California that are viewing this, we hit a stop sign and we're still kind of creeping and we're looking, no oncoming traffic, and you're gone. Well, cops let this go for the most part, provided that you actually kind of come to a decent stop. But anyway, I was driving this way and it would just tag me every time. Next thing you know, I'm getting like a $2,500 red light bill. I was like, dude, this sucks, man. I was like,
it's funny.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I just didn't know that there was that aspect to it. I'd watch you play it on stream, and it looked really fun. And I was thinking, you know, it's kind of like GTA without the hookers, drugs, and guns.
Yeah. It does have that look to it. Yeah.
Well, but then also it's almost like
it's
GTA RP with the fact that you can get into trouble, but it seems like a very soothing experience, and I would be interested in starting a trucking company with you.
Yeah,
and playing that.
Dude, it's very, you know, and like Chris was giving me a hard time. He's like, dude, what? I think he was watching from his phone. He's like, what the hell is this? Right? And he sat in my stream. He's like, you know what? This is actually kind of enjoyable. Like, you know, like,
Yeah.
and it has like all the normal things. If you know the highway systems and have driven in any part of the United States, like if you've driven the 5 freeway, you know it it goes. And there's certain
That's dope.
landmarks and aspects of, and obviously the scaling is down because no one wants to drive from LA to San Francisco in 6 hours or longer if in a big rig. But to go back on the cops and stuff like that, if you're driving down a road, right, and the speed limit's 35 and you're going more than 5 miles over the speed limit, they tag you going the opposite way. You're like, no, this is bullshit. There's no way. There's no way. So yeah.
You know what? I will say this, right? Because I give you crap for a lot of the Sims that you play, but like when I tuned in, it's an easy watch.
Yeah.
And it seems like a nice, easy, soothing experience.
And it's funny because like when I'm tuning into people, like I'm watching Overwatch, I'm watching Valorant now, I'm watching Warzone, and then I watch Jeremy streaming. Well, he's driving a truck and he's got like some music on in the background, and I'm like, how am I watching this, dude? You just lose track because it's like soothing. You just watch it.
Yeah.
If you're playing that game and you don't have classic rock on your Spotify,
right?
You're doing it completely wrong. Like I thought about wearing a trucker's hat and like kind of like
put on Convoy and
dude, I think you should.
On my wayward son.
There's I think there's a branding opportunity here to be like the anti Dr. Disrespect, where you're just super chill driving a truck, dude.
Well, I already have. I should just.
Yeah, you should. You
just cut the foo, like a real foo.
Yeah.
My dad had a solid foo.
Do it
with like a flannel shirt, like a red flannel shirt. But the whole thing is, it's 100 degrees outside, man. I can't do that. I can't wear a flannel shirt. So
really, they're so comfy.
I could, but not with it being 100 degrees outside.
Oh no. Yeah, I get you.
So okay, so what do you think? Give the game a rating, right? Because of all the Sims that you played, and this guy plays a ton of Sims, folks.
I do.
Right?
It's my preferred genre, actually. Yeah. So it's continually adding content, which I think is the most important out of simulation games. And I play Tycoon. I play as much. Matter of fact, if you go through my Steam's list, it's almost all Tycoons or simulations. But it's got a good replayability. I would say like an 8.5. And the fact that they're continually adding content, I would go ahead and give it an 8.5. They just released the new Mack truck expansion for it, which was free. They didn't have the Mack trucks, and the community went apeshit. Like, oh my god, Max! I was like, what? I don't drive trucks. I'm a city kid, man. Like, what is this? Is it better? Is it worse? Like, what is it? So yeah, they loved it, and the fact that the multiplayer is standalone, so you have to kind of be on a different server that kicks on your American Truck Simulator, but it's a lot of fun, and maybe I can convince these dum-dums to get it and kind of start driving around. And by the way,
I'm in.
I highly recommend you play it with controller with the Xbox Elite. There.
I was going to ask you whether you drove, because I mean most people, given the chance in a driving game, or
the driving peripherals, but yeah. I'm not gonna go spend $300 on a driving peripheral just to play the game. I guess if that's your main game. So like I saw one streamer, he had like the whole control switches box. I was like, bro, you went off on this, and I kind of liked it because it was all simple switches. Like, oh, I'm gonna change out the switch box, and so now that we have the Max, I can roll down my windows. Here's my power windows, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like,
wow,
what?
That's cool though.
But I was pleasantly entertained by this guy's stream by doing it. So yeah.
All right.
Yeah, some people have the big flight ones too. It's like, if that's your thing, dude, do it. Do you?
Yeah. And yeah, I can go off on those peripherals too, but that's for another time.
Okay, so trucking company incoming, folks, right?
Maybe we'll throw some stuff.
America.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got one more game on topic for this week. Everybody's playing it. Warzone.
Everybody has a complaint.
Everybody's got a complaint, right? So I think my biggest complaint, except for Joe. So I played a ton of it yesterday, right, with Michael and Ant, and I can 100% say that it's gotten better. But early on, the sound was hot garbage, right? Super loud when you jumped into it, super loud at the starting screen, and then footsteps just did not exist. And if you watch any of these streams or if you played this game, like, you absolutely know that Call of Duty without footsteps is just horrible.
Yeah, and it's well documented with Doctor Disrespect too. Like he triggers hard off of that shit.
Yeah. So we played it yesterday. Um, I think the biggest thing for me now is just I feel because it wasn't so great in the beginning and I didn't want to play it. Now I'm behind. So all my guns have like no attachments, and you watch these guys that have just like laser beams for guns, and mine's like kicking, jumping like 3 inches every time I take a shot, having to like combat that. But other than that, like I feel like they've come around and they've given it some love in places. I mean, there's still some bugs, but
Well, I think
what
they
do you think?
needed to. I think they needed to because you had some very, very popular, outspoken streamers saying a lot of negative things about it, and they were putting very basic game mechanics, like you said, sound as one of the big culprits to them not doing well or whatever, or no anti-cheat or whatever, like people getting shot through across the map through walls. And I was like, okay. So I think that they did give it some TLC. I still think it has a way to go. But my question for you, Joe, actually, so knowing this COD franchise, knowing and you've played it, but you haven't played this particular one.
I played Warzone once.
Okay, so going into it, what was your expectation, and what was the post reaction to
Like the
playing
reality?
that game? Like did you
Yeah.
feel okay? Good.
I mean, my expectation was, obviously I had been a little biased because I'd heard you guys talking about the sound and stuff, and I did notice, yes, it definitely wasn't great. The graphics are good. Everything else is super fun. The Warzone itself is great. I can't remember the other mode, Payday or whatever.
Plunder.
Plunder. Thank you.
Yeah. Blood money, whatever they want to call it. This
Yeah,
week.
I played that one once as well, and they were both fun. Battle royales aren't my always my forte. It's not my, so Warzone wouldn't be my favorite game, but it's definitely one that I enjoyed, and especially if they are working on those issues that shouldn't plague, a game that costs dozens of millions of dollars to make. You know what I
Hundreds.
mean? Yeah, that's what I just didn't want to go too high, but I was being conservative. But yeah, um, that those, but I mean, at the same time, they're offering it free. They're offering it free. That's what's become expected of battle royale games. That's all fine and good, but they are offering a free experience, and with that, I guess you could say, in some things, you get what you pay for. You know what I mean? It's going to take time for changes to come. So I was happy with the experience, but I also did note that there were issues.
They're making a literally a metric shit ton of money on microtransactions with the
Oh, 100%.
with the season passes and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
given the fact that Call of Duty and Overwatch are pretty much the same company, you might see something like that with Overwatch eventually when we start moving into Overwatch 2. But that's
You mean
still
like
yet
a
to be
battle royale?
No, like the price coming down to encourage the microtransaction.
Oh, I don't think so.
But I mean, we'll see. I mean, that's all speculation with Overwatch 2 coming out, which is a highly anticipated title. I know for the three of us in our gaming.
Yeah. Which we have no idea when it's going to happen.
No.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, my take on Warzone. I've had a lot of fun with it. we've had a lot of good matches. I've had a lot of good streams with it. It is a saturated game for a streamer of my caliber to stream on a consistent basis, but eventually, you do get the viewership. But it is a fun game to play. I have thoroughly enjoyed playing all modes of the game with friends and new people and so on and so forth. So, like, if I had to give it a rating, replayability would probably be like an 8.5. The game
until the next one comes out.
Until the next one comes out. And actually, I actually like the multiplayer quite a bit too. So that's how I ended up leveling the guns. I got about an 8-month head start on Chris on that. So like most of my stuff is all leveled up. But the game, I would give it probably a 7.5 until they fix the sound completely and the cheating from a Warzone perspective.
Yeah, I think for me, like I'm kind of like right there with you. Like I definitely want to play it more. I feel like it's gotten better every time that I've jumped into it. And I'll be honest with you, like I don't play it on a daily basis. It's one of those things where I jump into it like, probably like once a week or so. Twice a week maybe. But every time that I've done so, like they've made improvements or I've noticed improvements. So that's pretty big for me, because like I said at the beginning, I thought it was hot garbage and I didn't want to play it, like quite honestly.
Yeah, you were very vocal about that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But this game, this is bullshit.
No, you were consistent though. You were like, the sound is shit, dude. You can't tell when people are coming up behind you, and I agree that shouldn't happen.
So it's that part's gotten a little bit better. I think the one gripe that I have with it now is every week they rotate game modes. So like last week you could jump in as a duo. This week it's trios and quads, and it's solos with no gulag mechanic. So, man, it just kind of sucks.
The gulag mechanic is so freaking cool too.
Yeah,
it's like, I get a chance to go back in, get a little action, and then go back in.
Joe, here's what happens when you jump in the solos when there's no gulag mechanic, right? So for the majority of the match, you can die and just come back. Well, you can have like 10 kills and go through 30 minutes of match play, and when you die right after it stops, right after the respawn stops, you came in like 97th or 120th or something stupid because people just keep dying and keep coming back in. Yeah. So the game mode like never stops. Like
just play Blood Money if that's what you want to do.
Right. And I think if you're going to do that to solos, you need to have a faster ring close in, right?
Yeah. Well, my issue with that, and I get, Activision and COD aren't exactly into giving things away for free, but they are offering a free service, and you can't say like, oh hey, I don't think you should release something and then say, okay, you can only do this every once in a while. Like if you release solos, you release duos, you release, or even trios, and you release squad or whatever, that should always be available. That shouldn't be an every once in a while thing. And if you offer a game mode, that game mode should stick around. And I criticized Overwatch on this a long time ago, where you know what I mean. And it's the same sort of thing. If you offer something, don't take it back. Don't take it back. Don't say, oh well, you can only do it sometimes or whatever. It's like, keep it around, because I mean, really, all you're fixing to lose is all you're fixing to do is lose players if you take away something that you give them a little bite and then take it away. It's like, oh, well, screw this, dude.
Right. Yeah, I absolutely 100% agree with you, Joe. Like, I really think that if you're going to go through the trouble of creating these different game modes, just keep them all playable. It's having the ability to jump in as a single, a duo, a trio, or a quad. Like these guys, they have the player base. They have to, right? So just spread it out a little bit.
80 million players. It's not like you're going to have queue times. You know what I mean? If you offer them all, right?
Yeah. No.
But as I compared really quick, as I compared over that one single instance of Overwatch with COD, we also got to remember that, the Overwatch team is, for gaming community wise, is fairly connected to its community, and they listen and they do things that we want. Like they have the games workshop now where you can go in and create an old game mode. You can create whatever you want and it can stay there. And so old game modes that aren't around anymore, you can create that. I don't ever see Activision doing that. With anything Call of Duty, I might be wrong real soon, but I just don't, that they don't seem like that company to me. And I know that they're tied together. The Activision and Blizzard are tied together, but they still act differently.
Now, now with them putting out new games every 12 months, no way.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. They released a battle royale with the last COD that came out a year ago. It's like I played it like 3 times, and then Warzone comes out, and that's what my first reaction was like. WTF, dude! You released a battle royale last year, dude. You know what I mean?
And Blackout was a lot of fun, by the way.
It was.
It was hard, yeah.
I liked it a lot. As a realistic shooter, I liked it a lot more than PUBG.
Oh, the bane of my existence.
Good old PUBG. Okay, well, I think that officially wraps it up for games. Somebody mentions PUBG, we're just automatically got to shut down that.
Yeah,
right?
Right?
Sorry about that.
Stream over. Sorry.
All right. So let's shift the focus a little bit, guys. Let's talk world of small streaming. So, Jer, I know over the last couple of weeks you've gone down a rabbit hole with regarding stats, changing up your overlays and stuff like that. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm a stat driven guy, and I know that a lot of the big time streamers will say, don't look at your stats, it'll happen. I was like, okay, I can believe that. And I think, like me and Joe have actually had some pretty lengthy debates on this, because what I want is I want validation, right? That what I'm doing is working, or validation that what I'm doing isn't working. So one of the biggest stats that I think is important, that once you get
hold on a second. Validation meaning viewership, right?
Viewership, right? So I kind of look at this as the same way as like if you've ever put anything on Google or if you want to get the click-throughs, right? So you want the notification that you're live, right? The stat, like, let's say that you have 500 followers, right? What would you say would be a decent amount of people that saw that notification that you went live to? Where would you be happy? Like, would you be happy with 20%, 10%? 50%? Obviously, the more the better. But like, would you be satisfied with that stat of people?
I'm satisfied with not knowing.
Okay, and that's you, right? Because what I want to know is, okay, so from a business perspective, okay, so if I put the notification out, right, that I went live, how many of those my followers actually saw it? That no, I don't want the click-through rate. I want them to at least see that, hey, Romason714 is live. He's playing Green Hell. And typically I screw up my notification anyway, and Joey gives me a bunch of hard time about it. But like,
hard time? I just tell you where to post it.
You idiot. Yeah.
You literally said there's a live channel for that.
So
yeah. No. Like, hey, you screwed up your live. You're playing a different game.
Oh,
or, like,
all right, dude. I just come in to mod you on Twitch and change it for you.
Yeah, I know.
So you want to know how many people you're reaching.
Yeah, it's like your Facebook. Yeah, like Facebook reach, right? So like same thing if you put an ad up on Facebook, you pay for the reach. And that would be kind of a cool mechanic on Twitch, that if you want to reach all your viewers, or like even if they have the notifications off, I mean, it'd be kind of a monetization thing for Twitch. I mean, it'd be able for them to get rid of some of their ads that they have whenever you tune into streamers. But yeah, so like for instance, I personally have 432 followers. 5.8% of my followers see my notifications live. So I don't really.
432 followers where?
On Twitch.
You have that many on Twitch?
Yeah.
Oh wait, I remember you did something. Okay, go ahead.
So, and but only 5.8% of those followers see my notifications. So really, my follower base is this big compared to that big, because if they don't pay attention or know when I go live, they're not going to tune in.
Right.
Right.
So, and that
There is an aspect to that I don't think we want to get into, but I mean, I agree. Of course you want that stuff, you know what I mean? But when you're talking about like advertising on Google, those are companies that make enough income to advertise. If you're trying to draw a line between that and being a small streamer, the line becomes kind of blurry, because as a small streamer, you're not even a business yet, especially if you're not affiliate. You know what I mean? You're not making any money from it. And really, the only people who go, my opinion of all this is people who go into streaming looking to get a payday are going to realize it
it's
takes a lot of work and
Yeah.
a lot of time and a lot of dedication to see a dime. Even once you become affiliate, Twitch holds all the money you've made from subscriptions and bits and stuff like that until you reach $100. So even after you make affiliate, it could be a year before you see a dime, especially if you're just a normal gaming dude. You know what I mean? Like, it takes time to get followers, it takes time to get views. And I mean, really, I agree with a lot of the high end streamers that are like, you play what you want. Um, you don't do it for the views will come. Because I don't care how many people click on me. I care how many people are watching me and sticking around and like to watch me. People can click on me all they want. I don't care about clicks. I care about garnering a following that enjoys the same thing that I enjoy. You know what I mean? The same type of games, talking about Star Wars, horror movies, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like, those
Sure.
are the kind of people I want following me. I don't care about clicks.
Right.
You know?
So in large part, I agree with you. But if you're trying to grow your viewer base, right, and you look at that stat or that number or whatever you want to, it's if my follow the ones that I've already built a relationship with don't come back, or only like a certain amount of them are seeing that I'm actually live, it's sort of validating that I'm doing something incorrectly, or I'm just not connecting with that viewer. So even though they hit me with a follow, that's great, I love it, but it's like short-term euphoria, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. But it's just like anything else on social media. I mean, that's the way it is. Like, yeah, you get that instant psychologically, you get that instant invigoration of like, oh, someone followed me. But it's like, really, where you're shooting for is you're going to be getting 50 follows a stream. That's what you're shooting for. You know what I mean? And it's just worrying about it is just adding stress. Worrying about your numbers and stuff like that is just adding stress, when in the end, it's going to take a long time to get somewhere with your stream. It's just going to.
Well,
Unless, I'm not even going to say unless, some people get there quicker than others. But for most people, it's a grind and it takes a long time.
yeah.
It takes.
One of the things that I hear a lot of people saying is like, don't compare your viewership or your numbers or the length of time it takes you to anybody else, because everybody's journey is going to be different. But I think what Jared's trying to get at more is like, I don't know if he's so much worried about it as he's looking for ways to proactively go after the viewership, right, Jared?
Yeah.
Because I mean, right now, do you care? I mean, are you worried about low numbers, or are you more interested in finding ways to grow?
The actual numbers aren't what I'm interested. What I'm interested in is viewer retention, so to speak, or like follower retention. And I think that's what that stat really captures, right? So if like I was watching my followers, I was like, because I'm a variety streamer, I play, you never know whenever I stream like what game I'll play, and I think that does hurt me to a standpoint. But I'm gonna play, like Joey said, I'm gonna play what I want to play. Hey, if you want to watch, then watch. If you don't, whatever. Okay. Usually when I tune into streams, I tune into streams to conversate with the caster and create that relationship while watching them play games, which is why watching people play Green Hell the first time around is a lot of fun for me, because you see their reactions are completely genuine. It's not planned, it's not scripted, it's not nothing like that. So yeah, so follower retention, I think, is
It's very
I think
relatable, right? Because
yeah,
they're going through the same stuff that we went through when we first jumped in, right? It's relatability. I think it's a huge thing, right?
yeah, yeah. So I mean, and I know that, you know, I'm an older guy. I'm 40. I'm 40. I'm a man. Anyway, I'm an older guy, and I know that, and there
That
are
that
other
might be debatable,
people.
chat.
I know. You know, there are other people that might be more entertaining to me, and you
Yeah.
know, I'll sit there and chat it up with anybody. I'll go to the store and make friends, but like sometimes it's kind of hard to sit there and talk to yourself for a while because you feel like you're going literally batshit crazy. But it is a skill nonetheless.
Yeah. So
So,
I guess we should. Okay, let's bring this up to the audience, because some people that are listening to this podcast may not understand like where we're coming from, right? So both, I mean, all of us are. Joey, you're affiliated, right? You hit
I
affiliate.
am.
Okay. So what that means is that Joe averages at least 3 viewers per stream, and like honestly, like I've been averaging 2 to 3 over the last couple weeks. Um, Jared, I think,
It's over a 30-day period
yeah, I think
because
you're
obviously
right. And
it goes up and down.
Jerry, you're about the same, right?
what?
Like 3 to 4 viewers on average.
Yeah, within the last week and a half, I've been kind of cruising about 3, 4 viewers. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's beginning to kind of sort of ramp up a little bit. So I'm in that mode, and thanks to COVID for that. By
Yeah.
the way.
So one of the things about streaming to an empty chat is that it can be very boring, and you.
Daunting.
I mean, yeah, and really and truly, like it is. It's so much easier when there's somebody in chat, just talking, shooting the crap with you, engaged and interesting. So if you're out there and you want to do a service, find a streamer that doesn't have anybody in their chat room and just go talk to them for like 10 or 15 minutes. Guaranteed it will change their day, and it will help them refocus and I don't know what, be re-energized for their stream.
Yeah. And if you
Yeah.
haven't, if you're not a streamer and you do pop into that stream, and like Chris said, it will reinvigorate the stream, and they'll push harder, and that even that little bit of confidence that says, you know, hey, like I'm having a good time and I'm meeting people. And if you are a streamer and you haven't been rated yet by a large group, prepare for a heart attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that
I
happened
do.
with me, and started sweating bullets, like, because like I'm used to, like, you know, streaming to like 3, 4 people, like Chris said, and all of a sudden 50 people pop into my chat and they're hitting me up. I'm like, it really takes
What is
you
going
back.
on here?
Yeah, like what is going on? And then your notifications start going off like gangbusters. And again, thanks Sam. It's amazing for that raid, and even Roberto. I've had the opportunity of it happening a couple times, and the more times it happens, you become more prepared for it. But
You
I
know,
don't think when it actually happens, like that split second that you realize you're being graded, and all of a sudden your chat box is empty,
yeah.
and nobody said anything for like 10, 15, 20 minutes, and all of a sudden boom 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 boom. It looks like,
Well, I
you
think
know, like
I don't think a lot
Nate
of
Shot's chat. You're like, oh shit, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. It's overload big time.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize this, but it's like that old adage when you when you're not doing much, right? Like let's say you're at work and there's nothing going on at work. It's like it makes the day go by so much longer, right? You're more tired from doing nothing, and you're more energized when you're constantly busy, you know? So it's the same for streaming. If there's people in your chat constantly like talking and engaging you and stuff like that, it's real easy to keep going and lose 6 or 7 hours than it is when there's nobody in there and you're trying to talk to yourself and you're trying to talk to maybe some lurkers that are watching but not in your chat room. It's a much different experience. So I highly recommend if you are just browsing around on Twitch, jump into a streamer with no chat activity and give them some activity.
Yeah, and I do want to say I've had a few raids, and a few of them helped me get to affiliate. There after I had a couple, I just realized that a lot of people they raid in and they're trying to help the person that they are raiding for, and so like they raid in and then they jump off. But you do get some people, and if you interact with them right off the bat, like don't get all jittery, don't get nervous. Just say like, hey, how you guys doing? Introduce yourself. Say stick around if you feel like it. If after you enjoy what you're seeing, drop a follow or whatever. But really, don't try to go too hard at them, because you
Right.
can. I've heard you can kind of push them away. You know what I mean? And so like my last time getting raided, which was months ago, because I haven't been streaming as much as I'd like to. I that's what I did. I just played it cool. You know what I mean? Like it was no like I do with ladies sometimes, where it's just like, no big deal, dude. I'm just like this. You know what I mean? Like this is
Yeah,
just
Joe,
the way
tell
it
us about how you talk to the ladies,
Oh,
baby.
man.
Well, I mean, but it is a similar way to approach it, and like you dress for the job you want. You know what I mean? You act cool, stay cool headed. You know what I mean? That's how people view you, and they'll get to know the real you instead of the jittery, like, oh my god, I just got raided by 75 people.
Are you trying to say
Yeah.
like don't text them right away and send them a D-pic? Is that basically
No.
what the?
That's
No.
not. I don't.
Don't send your chat a D-pic, please.
In fact, just don't take pictures of your D. Just don't.
This is a great analogy, guys.
But-
This is a fantastic analogy.
Yeah.
You totally locked Joe up. That's fucking fantastic.
I got my point out.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, so guys, we've gone a little over an hour, and we promised our listeners some of the best channels that they've never seen. So who wants to go first? Talking about a Twitch channel that they found that they love that may not have a ton of views.
I'm gonna let Joe's to my right on my screen, so I'm gonna let him go first.
You're to my left.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go first. I appreciate it. I'm gonna start off with my favorite streamer, other than you guys. She's other than our group. She's great. Her name is Killshot Kitty, all one word, spelled just like you think it would. And she's adorable, but she's a good gamer. She works really, really hard. She's pushing to partner now. And in just a few short months, she's gone from solidly an affiliate to moving towards partner. I say when I drop in, she's got an average between 25 to 30 viewers, and a lot of the time that's what partners have. You know what I mean? It takes an average of 75 viewers over a 30-day period to get partner, but that doesn't mean you keep that, and sometimes it drops down. So she's doing really good as an affiliate. And I would recommend stopping by and dropping an uwu for her, because she'll say it back and it's adorable.
And Joe, what is uwu?
UW. You'll know what it is. If you need to know what it is, you'll know what it is.
I mean, just for the listeners, what does that mean? What is UWU?
It's like cute. Like you see, like those little animals. Like the U is the W is like, I don't know. It's like who, like ooh, cute. I don't know. It comes from like fucking, I don't know, dude. Anyway, thanks for drawing me off track.
Please put that, make that on your soundboard, please.
Oh, yeah. We're cutting
She's witty, she's smart, and her community is amazing. She's got one of my favorite communities I've ever come across on Twitch. The people are super cool, and basically if you're not a D head, like, you're welcome. You know what I mean? Like, everybody is welcome. I would definitely recommend stopping by. Again, that's twitch.tv/killshotkitty, all one word.
Cool. Jer?
I've got a few.
Why don't you narrow it down to one for this episode?
Okay, for this episode, a channel that I look forward to viewing on a weekly basis is Samazing, SAMMING _ All right, Samazing.
Okay,
Yeah.
folks, he spelled that wrong, but we'll
Sure.
put the
S-A-M-M.
we'll put some links.
We'll put the link down
We'll
here.
put the link
link.
down below.
I just felt it.
Anyway, she's fantastic. She has a lot of fun on her streams. She does Friday night. She just games with her buddies and has a few beers and welcomes everybody in chat. And she's very, she engages with her chat very, very well. And she basically welcomes everybody into her channel with open arms. Don't be a D. Like, I think everybody doesn't want a D in their chat for sure. But I've had the opportunity to become pretty good friends with her over the course of the last few months, and got into her gaming group, and the people that she surrounds herself with are very, very good people. Additionally, she does story Sundays, so she'll play like an RPG on Sundays, and you see her get triggered playing was it Assassin's Creed when things don't work out well, or like you see a progression of her gameplay. She plays a little bit of everything, and congratulations to her on making Activator's stream team, by the way.
Congratulations.
Yeah, she did make Activator's stream team, and which she is building one right now. And her stream is just a lot of fun, and yeah.
So
really
so she's been one that I've started watching too, just because. And yeah, she is like her chat and her community are all like everybody in there's pretty like cool, right?
Yeah, they're funny.
They're easy to get along with. She's really great at engaging with everyone. Like, she talks to everyone. It's just honestly it's just a great place to hang out, right? I mean, what else is there to say?
She says my name correctly, which is great, which some people can't for some reason.
She has frog emotes, right? She's big on the frogs, which is
Do you mean Pepe?
Pepe.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's a difference between a frog emote and Pepe. Pepe is like.
Well, no. Like
Pepe is like Le Frog.
Well, her like all of her overlays and stuff, her graphics are of frogs, so it's not just Pepe. Like, there's actual like original stuff there too. So, but it's cool. Like, she's got a great stream, right?
She does.
And what's the average? Like, her average viewership is like 30 to 50 or so.
She's in the 20s. She's doing pretty well. And on Fridays she has when I talk about viewer retention or follower retention, and a lot of it has to deal with like scheduling and stuff like that. She does one surprise stream during the week, always on Fridays, always on Sundays. So you can catch her there. But like, yeah, she's in the 25 to 35 range, and she plays with all of them. It's really, really, really good time. What about you, Chris? Who you been watching?
Okay, well, I have found one of the most perfect human beings I think I've ever found, besides Dr. Lupo, and that is Curvy Llama. I know, funny name, right? So I don't know what else to say about it, but the production quality of Curvy's stream is absolutely fantastic. I mean, I watch everybody, right? I watch Tim the Tatman, I watch Dr. Lupo, I watch all the biggest names, and I think her stream quality is better. I mean, for me, production quality is a huge thing, right? So like when you turn into Activator's stream, his camera setup, it's top notch, man. Like, there's just like no getting around it. So when you turn into Curvy's stream, right? When you tune into it, she's got a cartoon that plays for her intro, which is all custom original work. All of her emotes are, I don't even know like how to describe this, guys. Her emotes are they're all llamas, right?
I would hope.
But
Makes
she's
Yeah.
tailored a lot of her alerts for specific people, for like the people that host her stream. Each of them gets an original alert. it's fantastic. Like a lot of work goes into this, and you can really tell, right? Because there's some people that I tune into, and their stuff's been the same for for years, and then you look at hers, and there's just so much love that has gone into this channel. It's hard not
Thought.
to.
A lot of thought in that channel.
Well,
Yeah.
there's a lot of thought in it too, but I mean, there's a lot of work, dude. Setting up custom alerts for every little thing, all the emotes, all the, you can basically redeem bits for sound effects to screw up in games. Like the thought, like all of the love and attention to detail that goes into her channel is just fantastic. Like you have to just tune in and watch once or twice to see it all. Make sure you start at the very beginning because you can't miss this cartoon, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't even know what else to say. Like yeah.
It's and as someone who, I create a lot of artwork and stuff like that for other people's streams, and I do all the stuff for my stream too, and I tend to pay less attention to my stream because it's more stressful because you want that amount of perfection for your own stream, and it's hard to get there, you know what I mean? And I think she's done a really good job of constantly staying updated. You do see even top tier streamers, they had, like you said, they had the same thing that they had, when they made partner, and it's like, as things, as you have more ability to make your stream better, I think you should grow along with your stream,
I
you know.
think I think the difference is, right, is you have some of the top streamers where their content is the gameplay and maybe like the just chatting before the gameplay, and with somebody like Curvy, the stream is the content, if that makes any sense. There's just so much ability for engagement within that community that it it won't go unnoticed. You jump into that chat, like it's just there. You're a part of it.
Yeah.
You know. So I guess we've gone a little long. We're at like an hour 20 so far for this first episode. I know we've got a lot more to talk about. It just leaves room for the next one, right?
Yeah,
That's right.
now we know
So-
where to pick up.
Let's go ahead and end this. Guys, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Twitter at Romison714. Romison 714. My stream name is the same thing. Twitch.tv/Romison714. Joe?
My Twitch is twitch.tv/Shabadoo. That's SHABBAD00, zeros for the O's. Same with Twitter is Shabadoo Gaming attached to the end, no space. Shabadoo TV is my YouTube, and Joey Shabadoo, spelled normally SHABBADOO,
All right,
is my Instagram.
we'll put some links in the
Chris.
description too. And I'm Chris. You can find me at twitch.tv/ShiestyChris, just like it sounds. Link in the bottom. Guys, it was a pleasure as always.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Everybody, good night, gamers.
Night.